It's 6:40 in the morning. Your alarm has already gone off twice. You're awake, technically. Your eyes are open. But your body feels like it's still carrying yesterday. You lie there for a minute longer, staring at the ceiling, and the thought isn't dramatic. It's just quiet. I don't have it in me today. Nothing terrible happened. You're still functioning. You show up. You answer messages. You get through your tasks. So why does everything feel heavier than it looks? What you may be feeling is a quiet kind of burnout. Not the kind that crashes loudly. The kind that settles in slowly. In this video, I want to name what that looks like, why it builds without you noticing, and a few small ways to move inside it without turning it into a bigger story. Quiet burnout is when your energy drains faster than it refills, even if your life still looks normal from the outside. You're not falling apart. You're just running on a thinner layer of fuel. And because you're still capable, you may not even give yourself permission to call it exhaustion. One common reason is carrying too much for too long without any clear pause. It doesn't always come from one big crisis. Sometimes it's months of steady output. Work deadlines. Family responsibilities. Small favors. Being the reliable one. When your days are full but rarely finished, your mind never fully shuts down. Even at night, there's a low hum of "don't forget tomorrow." You might notice this when you sit down to rest and your body is still braced, like it's waiting to be called back into action. So even rest doesn't feel restful. It feels temporary. Over time, another layer shows up that's harder to see. You start disconnecting from the parts of your day that used to feel personal. Music sounds flatter. Conversations feel like tasks to complete. You respond, but you're not fully there. This isn't coldness. It's your system conserving energy by lowering the volume on everything. You might catch yourself nodding in a meeting while thinking, "I don't even know what I feel about this." So you default to neutral. It's easier than reaching for an opinion you're too tired to access. There's also a quieter reason that builds underneath, the pressure to stay steady. Maybe you're known as the calm one. The capable one. The one who doesn't complain. When that identity settles in, it can feel risky to admit you're worn down. So instead of saying, "I'm at capacity," you say, "I'm fine." And you mean it in the sense that nothing is on fire. But you're not really fine. You might know someone who lives like this. They keep showing up, keep producing, keep caring. And no one sees how thin their margins have become. Imagine it's a weekday afternoon. You're at your desk, laptop open, a half-finished email on the screen. The task itself isn't complicated. But you've been staring at it for 10 minutes. You reread the same sentence, trying to make it sound clearer, softer, more precise. Your shoulders feel tight. Your head feels slightly foggy, like there's cotton behind your eyes. You glance at the clock and feel a small wave of guilt for not moving faster. Nothing is urgent. No one is upset. But inside, you feel behind. Tired. A little detached from the person who used to move through this kind of work more easily. If you've been there, you're not strange. You might know someone who lives like this. This is what quiet burnout can look like when it doesn't explode. It narrows. It slows. It dims. It's not laziness. It's not a character flaw. It's the effect of running on low power while still asking yourself to perform at full brightness. Sometimes it comes from never fully finishing anything. Even after you complete a task, your mind moves immediately to the next one. There's no small pause where your body registers, "That's done." So your system never gets the signal that it's safe to downshift. Over time, that constant forward lean becomes your default posture. You may notice that even on a weekend, you feel vaguely behind. Like rest is borrowed time instead of earned space. So you scroll. You tidy. You check email just in case. And by Sunday night, you don't feel restored. You just feel slightly less guilty. Another way this shows up is through quiet self-pressure. It can be subtle. You compare your pace to someone else's highlight reel. You measure your output against a version of yourself from a year ago. You tell yourself you're capable of more, even when your energy says otherwise. This isn't ambition in its healthy form. It's a constant inner push that never recalibrates. So when your body slows down, instead of asking why, you ask, "What's wrong with me?" And that question drains even more energy. If any of this feels familiar, there's something important to notice. Burnout doesn't always announce itself with collapse. Sometimes it whispers through small signs, shorter patience, flatter excitement, longer pauses before simple tasks. One small shift can be this: build in tiny endings. When you finish something, an email, a load of laundry, a call, pause for 5 seconds. Literally 5. Let your eyes move away from the screen. Let your shoulders drop. Say quietly in your mind, "That's done." It sounds almost too simple. But it works because your body often waits for a cue that effort has stopped. Without that cue, it stays in motion. These micro endings can help your system register completion, instead of living in a constant state of almost. Another gentle experiment is lowering the brightness on one expectation. Pick one area where you've been holding a high, unspoken standard. Maybe it's replying instantly. Maybe it's cooking from scratch every night. Maybe it's always being available. Instead of swinging to the opposite extreme, adjust it slightly. Reply within the day instead of the hour. Cook simply instead of impressively. This works because burnout often grows in the gap between your real energy and your assumed output. When you narrow that gap, even a little, your system feels less chased. But there's something else here that matters. Burnout can feel like failure because we live in a culture that praises endurance. If you're tired, the story can become, "I'm not strong enough." In reality, feeling drained after prolonged effort is not weakness. It's information. This is for people who keep functioning even when they're worn down. For people who look steady but feel thin underneath. For people who rarely crash, but slowly fade. You're not imagining the heaviness. And you're not dramatic for feeling it. Quiet burnout doesn't mean you're incapable. It may simply mean you've been capable for too long without enough real recovery. And sometimes, naming that is the first moment your body softens, just a little.